Paul says we have a fearful responsibility now that we know what it really means to know God. What's the fearful responsibility, Paul? Well, the fearful responsibility is that we don't want folk to suffer the judgment of God when God has provided a way of mankind escaping that horrible judgment. And God has given us the responsibility to let others see in us his transformative power working in us so that God can use us to draw them to himself. Jesus said, if you lift me up. I know he had to be lifted up on the cross, but I think it went further than simply being lifted on the cross. I believe that he's talking about being lifted up in our lives when we come to know him in the pardoning of our sin. He said, I'll draw not white men, not black men, not Asian men. He said, I'll draw all men. And so Paul called it a fearful responsibility. Why? Because the day is going to come when all of us are going to have to give an account. You can't sit in church Sunday after Sunday talking about and learning about the goodness of the Lord and what the Lord has done for us, and then go out in the world and keep a cultural mindset toward other folk. And so Paul says, because we understand now our fearful responsibility to the Lord, we are motivated to work hard at doing what? Persuading others, letting others know the awesomeness of God's goodness, God's love for us. For God commended his love toward us while we were yet sinners. He said then, and I hope that when we're confronting you about some stuff that does not represent your relationship with Christ, I hope you will see our sincerity. And I hope you know that we are concerned and we are truthfully hopeful that you will be everything we know God is able to make us to be. Paul has already shared with the Corinthian saints that we now have the mind of Christ. But truth of the matter is, we don't really believe that the mind of Christ is at work in us. You got to understand who you are, and more importantly, whose you are. Paul says you need to understand we're not commending ourselves to you again. No, we're giving you a reason to be proud of us so you can answer those who brag about having a spectacular ministry rather than having a sincere heart. What does Paul know? Paul knows that we're moved by what we see. And we see some ministries that are just off the chain. Ain't nobody getting saved, but the ministry is off the chain because it got all the stuff in that ministry that appeals to your flesh, and you'll go there and you get happy and you get excited, and the preacher giving you one of those motivational feel good speeches, and you leave church talking about how good God is, and God is so wonderful, and God is this and God is that, and mess around and die in your